All right, we are live. All right, folks, we're broadcasting live on YouTube. And Aaron, I could make you as the host again, if that's okay.
And I tried to check, but Mercedes, are you able to mute and unmute?
That sounds cool, Caesar. Thanks.
Can't tell. She may not be able to.
I can. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Perfect.
Everyone that's just joined, we're taking a few minutes for people to start trickling in, and then we're going to get started soon. Okay, I think we're gonna start. First, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm one of 4 student leaders that helped create this space. I am a freshman at Southwestern College in Chula Vista, and my name is Rachel Hamilton.
Hi, everybody. I'm one of the next student facilitators for this event today. My name is Deja Jones. I'm in my final year at City College, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Ahmed Mohammed. I'm a student at San Diego Mesa College. I'm one of the student leaders as well. I just want to welcome everybody here.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? My name is Malcolm. I'm fresh out of City College. Just graduated, class of 2020. Congratulations to everybody that graduated. Looking forward to a good event.
I forgot to mention that too. I'm graduating too.
So if we could have our mental health speakers.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nadine Henley. I work at City College. I am one of our serving mental health counselors there. I'm also very lucky to work alongside Mercedes Tiggs, who's also on this call. She is also a licensed clinical social worker and also works at City College. And today I just wanted to take a moment. I don't want to take much time because this is really important that we provide a space for students to actually have a space to be heard and to share and talk. So it's really important that for me, that's the space we're providing. But I just want to let you guys know that I'm here, and all of our campuses provide mental health services and are happy to provide you some care there. I also want to say that during this call, I will put in the chat a 24/7 call and text line so that you all have a preference and have the option. You may not feel like you need it in this moment, but you may feel raw later, or it might be something that you would like to explore. So I want to put that in there. I do want to say before we get into this call to just be aware, people talk about COVID-19 and that's really what we are being traumatized by the most, but there's so many compounded reasons why people of color at this time, especially specifically Black people, are being extremely, extremely traumatized in this moment. And so what you're feeling is real, what you're feeling is normal, but what you're feeling may be something where I want to process. And that's definitely what we're here for. So understand that if you sit across from someone like myself, something that you're going to share with me, I've definitely experienced, or I am experiencing along right with you. And so you're not going to be sitting across from someone who's going to be minimizing your experiences, and understanding that this is a very tough time, but as people, we do it and we do it well. And so please use this time in this space to really, really just share. This is the safest of spaces where you're going to be amongst people who absolutely get it. Thank you for your time.
So I just wanted to share the reason that we decided to create this space is because we felt like it was important for Black students in San Diego to have a space to just talk amongst ourselves and to really just hear and understand one another. So with all that said, we're going to get right into the presentation and then we can start performing. All right, now if we could get into the ground rules, Akma, I think you were going to do that.
Yes. We're going to go into a little of the ground rules. Um, uh, we want to come with an open mind and heart. Um, this is a safe space for identifying students of every walk of life. Um, we want to respect others' thoughts, opinions, and time. Um, please stay away from any rhetoric, any hateful rhetoric, um, and be your true, authentic self. Your true, authentic Black self. All right. And so now we have the porch talk. Um, me and my brother Malcolm. We're going to be heading this for right now. Porch talk this is a time for us to be able to express the things that we are feeling, the things that's on our mind as far as what is going on in America right now. As we can see, as far as black people, you know, we are being we having a challenging time, right? With COVID-19 and also the continuous murder of Black men and women. So we want everyone to be able to express themselves, to be able to tell us how they feeling. You know, if you're comfortable with that. So we want to open the floor and want everyone to begin to talk. You know, we do have the raising hand reaction, I believe. So if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand, and we're going to get to you. But we want you to really express yourself.
Right.
You know, feel free, and you got the prompts. To, if you want to use those prompts, you know, you can use those. But you can start it off however way you want to.
Yeah, and a quick disclaimer, because we discussed this, and I have to make this disclaimer that you know, I'm a member of Umoja, and I love Umoja. You know, it's a beautiful club, a beautiful organization. So this porch talk is an Umoja practice, right? It's I guess part of the creed of Umoja. But I, for one, don't really necessarily like the name porch talk, right? Because there's a connotation that us as Black people have had in this country, being called a porch monkey, so to speak. So I think that just to get into a little bit of that throughout our history, we've had to kind of take ownership of certain words and terms, right? There was a time in this country where we were called Negroes, right? And some people accepted that, right? Like Marcus Garvey said, if you're gonna call me a Negro, make sure you capitalize the N, right? But later on, people said, no, I don't want to be referred to as a Negro. I don't know what history that has in the world. So people switched to the term, you know, African American. And then there were people that said, well, I don't like being called an African American for various reasons. Some people felt that they shouldn't be hyphenated, or they didn't feel quite American. And other people later on said, you know, just call me Black. And there's still discussion around that, right? So, you know, as for me, I don't really like the idea of porch talk because us having that image of being on the porch, having to talk about things on the porch that we can't necessarily talk about in public, right? It's 2020. We should be able to talk about how we feel anywhere we go, right? But the reality of it is that there's still certain spaces that we feel more comfortable talking about our issues than others. So this is that space, whether it's the block, whether it's the shop, you know, wherever that may be, where you feel like you can really express what's on your mind and not have to worry about repercussions and ramifications. So anybody that has something to say, feel free to chime in right now.
Definitely. So we want to open up the floor now and get it started. Whoever would like to express themselves, you're more than welcome to go ahead.
Can anybody tell us just how are they feeling right now? Anybody just express how you're feeling right now with these times going on, right? Sometimes it can't be expressed in the classroom. Sometimes because of the social distancing, we can't express it with our families. They might not understand, right? So we just want somebody to just let us know how are they feeling right now. You know?
You can go ahead, Sam.
Um, I'm not gonna take up too much time, and if I'm talking too much, let me know because I'm old. So, um, I have so many emotions, and I think in light of not just what's going on nationally, but what's going on locally in a community college, specifically San Diego Community College system. I think that there is a very perceptive and palpable level of fear and mistrust. I know we began saying we're in a safe space, we're in a safe place, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. I know a vast majority of people are well intended, but during these times, we are seeing a lot of people reveal for themselves and who they are. And these revelations and revealings are accidental. And it comes from us as the offended and teaching and pointing out things. I know that's part of growth, but this is really tiring. And it's just a repetition in a continuous cycle of history. And again, if true change comes from this, I'll be surprised because to me, well, I'll just say my point. I and my family, we fight systems of oppression and not individuals that we disagree with. And we denounce the ideas of oppression and we focus on that and focusing on individuals. That's not really going to get us any place. And I just don't know where the guidance and the true leadership is coming from. And it's pretty scary because I feel that there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing out there. And as we all know, with the infiltration of anti-Black Matters individuals doing the vandalism and trying to incite riots and everything else, you don't really know who to trust on the left flank or the right. And we come together with these ideas and to empathize, understand, and motivate. But I just challenge everybody that's here, and even with people that aren't here, people that to really take a step back and look at our own individual motivations. Because to me, we are here to address the oppressions of our communities. And what's going on is because our country has failed to address the systemic oppression of our communities. So we have to try to create this more fair, better, equitable state as a nation in our society. And that's what we're fighting for. But it sounds good in theory, but I'm just wondering where the progress is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
That's true. And that's a big question right now. Where are our leaders at? right? It seems like we're at a time where we're experiencing a drought of leadership, right? I mean, the civil rights movements of the 60s, there was no shortage. So that's a very important reflection right there. Somebody else, let me know how you guys are feeling. Let us know some of the things that you're having a hard time understanding right now. Right now, this time is your platform to kind of let the world know how you're feeling, right? The voice of the youth.
Miles, you can go ahead.
Okay. First, my name is Miles. I do not attend City. I was an intern therapist there. Just ended. I am a current student at Alliant International, though. But yeah, so one of the points I like how y'all brought up like words of leadership, and I feel part of that answer kind of lies within ourselves. I feel like this past few months, there's been like an overload of kind of new information, at least for me, to where like I'm learning more about like things that happened in the past. Like just even if it's on social media, things will pop up to where it's like, oh, that person was Black. Like I know was it Beethoven came up? I'm not sure if it's true or not, but like just little information like that has been coming up, and I feel like it kind of goes back to us being those leaders to kind of seek that education. And Malcolm, I like how you brought up the porch monkey part, because that's the first thing I thought of when I saw about the porch talk. And I agree, we should be able to have these conversations everywhere. I mean, it's not the reality of things though. And for me, it hasn't been too hard, because for me, my church has really been a huge support. I've been able to really talk more with the men and like the young adults at my church about what's going on. And not all of us are Black, so not all of them are Black. So the conversations, the perspectives that we kind of have are interesting, because it always includes that spiritual piece, which I feel always trumps what's going on in this world. Because I feel, although there is a battle going on in the world, there is always and will always continue to be a spiritual battle that I have to worry about. And knowing that I can't fear what's going on in the world, I should be more worried about the spiritual battles that I need to kind of fight. But I'm definitely encouraged on that side, and I'm encouraged by some of the white people that I've been having talks with. I was with some friends at the golf course on, was it Thursday? Yeah, yesterday. And random white old lady had a great conversation, and just kind of hearing her perspective and talking about how she's learning more. And although she felt that she's been fighting on our side ever since the 60s and 50s and whatnot, she was able to kind of recognize some ways to where like she wasn't fighting our fight. So I'm happy that I've had more positive interactions than some others. But yeah, I just want to share that piece.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. I really like that you brought in the spiritual aspect, because that's not a perspective I would have even thought about. So thank you.
I totally agree, Rachel. The spiritual piece is definitely something that we have to look at as well, because we definitely are, facing facing the spiritual fight as well. So thank you for bringing that up, my brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just to kind of agree with everybody. I mean, we think some of our greatest leaders that existed in this country, right? The work that they did, it was deeply rooted in their spiritual convictions, right? It wasn't about money. It wasn't about political ideology. It was about that they really felt that when they left this planet, that the right thing to do was to fight against oppression. So I love that, man. Brother Miles, it looks like we got another raised hand. Let's see what it says. SHB.
You're next.
Hello, my name is Sandrine. I attend Palomar College. I see Mercedes in there. Hi, Mercedes. I just wanted to say that I commend this space wholeheartedly because I know coming from Palomar, this is something that we drastically need. We need to see Black counselors, Black teachers, providing a space for Black students. And that's something that I've really been striving for on our campus. When I saw that you guys were hosting this, I was really excited because, you know, we don't have a lot of counselors who are Black on our campus. And I've never been to City College, but just the vibe that I get from you guys, it just feels like family, you know, because with the Moja and everything like that, it just feels like really close knit. And I just really respect everyone here in this, meeting and everyone on your campus. It's just really nice to see Black faces in these spaces. So I just wanted to commend this meeting. So thank you.
Thank you for showing up and attending. Miss Maxine, from you.
Yes, hi, Maxine Amaru. I'm from San Diego City College. I am the president of the Delta Alpha Pi. It is our new honor society for the DSPS students. The reason that I pushed to get that chapter started was because there's a negative on students that are DSPS students. And if a lot of you guys know the research, it is Black students that are the students that are DSPS. So I just like to put a lot of emphasis on the DSPS part because we're also being squeezed out there, like we don't belong, like it's not a place for us. And it really is a place for us. We are killing it with the grades, with the percentages of us that are graduating every year. It's not getting talked about, it's not getting recognized. We're getting roadblocked by professors of our accommodations on a regular basis. Professors are watching this happen and not reporting it. So I made a petition. I gave it to Ms. Deja to just try to get some accountability, because what I found out on my 8-semester trail of this is that there's no accountability. I know this may sound drastic, but this is how I feel. The college staff on up can just tear us apart verbally, physically, mentally, and there will be no repercussions to what happens. And I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that should be allowed. Where in what industry is that able to happen other than the police department? So I don't like that they have that much control over, yes, I am a non-traditional student, but still I have family members that go to this school. I have younger family members that will probably have to go to this school. And I would like these things cleaned up, because a lot of people in my family will be African-American, Black, whatever they choose to identify with, but also a DSPS student. And I don't think that's fair to have roadblocks when you already have your own roadblocks that you have no control over: learning disabilities, visual impairments, hearing, you name it. And I don't feel that that's okay for the staff to be allowing that to happen to anyone that is a student trying to get their education, and working in a hostile environment where someone doesn't want to give you your civil rights is ridiculous to me. So that's me just sharing. Thank you.
Speak your truth. Can I ask, just for clarification, Ms. Maxine, what is DSPS?
It is Disabled Services Program. It's what they promote us to do when we first come from high school. And if you come here, it would be like, okay, in high school, it's equivalent to the IEP. It's an individual educational plan, but when you go to college, you go into this department for disabled services is what it's called, but it gives you your books and audio, it blows it up, whatever you need for your, it's equity based. It meets you where you are and gets you to where you need to be. And so it is a very good program to have. I don't want it to go away, but the department itself doesn't know how to support students of color, Black students specifically. And I just feel like it needs to be changed a little bit, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. Thank Thank you so much.
Yeah, I like what you said too. I just kind of want to chime in real fast that yeah, when we talk about structural racism, I mean it permeates all spheres. It's not just the police department. It's also the educational system. So like a lot of times I know at City we hear some of the professors speaking about the need to decolonize the syllabus, right? Because sometimes the students that they may term slower learners have really a different style of learning, right? So, and we have to understand that some people are better equipped to teach people from their own cultural groups, right? Like shout out to Dr. Rob, my partner, man. When he was teaching us how to do bell curves with balloons, I'm sure some of the other professors thought that it was ridiculous. But in my mind, just playing with a balloon helped me understand the correlation between the different curves, right? If you were to talk in Chinese with X, Y's, and Z's, I might have been lost. So there's also a need for us to actually decolonize and take some of the racism out of that, because it might not even be that we are slower learners. We might even have to challenge that in our mind. So I just want to say that and give room for the next person to speak.
So I have Sam going next.
I just wanted to expound a little bit on the meaning of DSPS so people can hopefully get a better embrace. DSPS is so important to the college system, mainly because what its purpose is, it's an equalizer. It equalizes the academic playing field to have that student that may suffer from test anxiety, vision issues, or any other disability. They create the environment that is equitable, fair, right, decent, and very conducive to learning. And I like how you mentioned Dr. Rob, and I'll give you an example of the importance of DSPS. My son, who's autistic, happens to be in Dr. Rob's class. And Dr. Rob approached a different way of learning. He did not apply the cookie cutter mentality that everyone is the same and must learn the same way. And that's what DSPS does. It helps you and your professor work out what is the best environment for your learning style within the confines of the syllabus. And sometimes they have to go without. But with that being said, Dr. Rob teaches some type of math. Me, 2 + 2 is 18, and that's on a good day. So I don't know math. But one of the things that he told me was in the history of teaching his math class, there's a certain type of problem that no one has ever gotten right on the first time. And Dr. Rob said he worked with my son, and he said it was a 6 or 8 hour problem. I think those numbers were. And he said that my son was the only student ever to get that problem right. And so working with my son's accommodations, which is time and explanation of things in a different way, Dr. Rob was able to instill the support of confidence in the mastery of education and independence. So DSPS, if it is followed properly and correctly, is an amazingly outstanding program. But therein lies an issue that there are not a lot of people of color in DSPS. I haven't seen one counselor, and I did ask the head, why isn't there a Black DSPS counselor? And she indicated that she would love to have a Black DSPS counselor, but none apply that are qualified for the position. And one of the issues that I have with that, of course, I'm not saying whether it's correct or not, it can be seen as a convenient truth. There's no way I have to validate that. And then as an African-American, my next thought was, what are your recruiting practices to get those representatives in there? And so those are other things that relate to systemic racism. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, yes, I totally understand what you're um it's it's hard to be a Black individual in any space when the person you're learning from is not Black, just on the surface, and then add on top of that already having the disabilities in learning added on top. It's a challenge that I will never understand, that I will never have at this moment. But I empathize with you and everyone who does have that. And I just thank you for explaining and just giving us that perspective in general, because I just learned so much just sitting here right now. So thank you so much, Sam.
Yes.
And Miss Maxine, thank you.
Sam and Maxine, thank you guys so much for sharing. Next,
Yep.
we're gonna go to Jazz. She had her hand raised.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm from San Diego City College. Um, I feel like during this time, it's been kind of hard for me with all the racial things going on. And I feel like my whole life I've already known that like the world is just not kind to Black people. But during this time, it's like really just being pushed in my face and pushed in all of our faces, and just I don't know, it kind of feels like it's being flaunted around. Um, in the beginning of June, like when the George Floyd murder happened, and those protests were breaking out, I did go to a few, but the one that I think sticks with me the most is
We lost you, Jazz. We lost your sound.
Or she might just be practicing to be a pantomime.
Something.
Now your
that,
audio,
like,
your audio is a little bad, sis.
oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Take your time.
Hold up. Let me. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? Oh no. Now everything's quiet for me.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. So at these protests, we were just being peaceful and everything, and all of a sudden, you just have a helicopter flying above us, telling us that our assembly is unlawful and that we only have a certain amount of time to leave. And just to pass by the doors of like where we were and to see just like a ridiculous amount of cops just piled behind the doors, looking like they're just waiting to come out to the crowd that's just literally just asking not to be hurt and not to be killed. And their response is always to just do that more. And that kind of hurt me. But as we were running away, there was a guy walking his dog. And so he goes into this locked apartment building, and my friend and I are trying to get into that apartment building. And we ask him like, hey, is it cool if we just chill here for a little bit? Like, we're not doing anything violent and we're just waiting for my sister to arrive. And it was kind of a slap in my face when he said no and just like made sure that we got out of the apartment building. Cause I was just like, where is your humanity? Like, how do our lives not matter that much to you? We're not, you can see that we're two girls at the nighttime and you just don't care. So I don't know. That was kind of eye-opening for me, and all of these deaths and everything going around. Like just a couple, like 2 weeks ago, the kid that was killed in the street in front of his pregnant girlfriend and just had his body laying there and her like crying and screaming, just nothing happening. That was, I don't know. This whole thing is kind of just hard.
Truly, I think the trauma that we face as just being Black in general in this society is so nothing can describe it, you know. But thank you so much for sharing.
Listen, and if I can say, I definitely feel where you coming from, because I remember just a few years ago in El Cajon, we went to El Cajon City. We went to the Alfred Alongo protests, and you know, I just seen like at firsthand the way that they treated us. You know, it's one thing to hear about it, right? And then sometimes it's one thing to even to you know, see it on television, but to actually experience it and understand, you know, what us as a people, what we go through, and what we go through on a daily basis. When I was out there at the protests, you know, I seen how the media lied on us. I seen how guys was, you know, you had white dudes in pickup trucks with their American flags driving and telling us to go home and all this other type of stuff, you know, threatening to run us over. All, you know, all those things was happening. And then it also brought me back to just my experience as a black man, as somebody that's black, you know, in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and the police just harassing us. So, you know, it's one thing that, you know, it really brings out a lot in you, especially when you are at those protests. And I just want to let you know, sister, that I feel your pain, and I understand where you're coming from.
Perfect. Miss Maxine, if you want to speak again.
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback on Jazz's thing. Like the lady that was hit in La Mesa, she is a fellow student of San Diego City College. She's in my major, which is social work. So there was no way Miss Leslie was out there to harm anybody, and she got harmed. My son, my oldest son, who's biologically not mine, but he is mine because I've had him since he was 9 years old. He was attacked by that same officer in March that had bothered the young man, Amari, that brought all of this to a head for San Diego. And my son has mental health. So I do understand you, Mr. Muhammad, on that level. My son is 30 years old. He's afraid to make any reports right now of the police. That guy, my son, still has a scar on his forehead. He broke 2 of his fingers and dislocated his shoulder. Because my son has mental health. He has anxiety from his past. When I got him, he was already traumatized. So he was scared of the police before I got him. So he would run at 9 and I'd have to reach out and grab him from running. So now as a 30-year-old man, 6'2", he still runs. And I'm trying to get him to understand that you can't run, babe. You gotta stand still and you have to speak. But the police don't understand that some of our Black men have PTSD from the way they've treated them, and they don't know what to do. Like my son literally can't speak in the moment when the police are there. He's just freaking out. They hurt him, they dig, they check everything, and every time they let him go, they say, "Why did you run?" And he's like, "I'm scared." You don't see his heart pumping out of his chest. He comes out with scars and all these things, but now he's an adult. I can't do anything about it for him. He has to find the strength within himself to advocate for him to get his justice. And it's just sad to watch this Black man being torn down by society, and he's had mental health issues since I got him. So this is not something that's going to go away. It's something that's real for him, but society doesn't care.
Most definitely. And yeah, I you know, I have friends that got you know, I never got beat up by the police or the police, you know, put their physical hands on me. I have been harassed, and the crazy thing about it, it's always, sometimes is those particular police, you know what I mean? It's the ones that's the GSU, you know, that's like another gang in our, I don't even want to say the, you know, they're another gang, you know, or they are a gang. That's, you know, that just harass us. I remember, you know, on Tuesday, I went to Lincoln High School, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the word around the school was, you know, don't wear red, don't wear green, don't wear blue on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Why? Because the GSU is gonna pull you over. They're gonna harass you. They're gonna take pictures of you, and that's exactly what they did. You know, we're minors. You know, they ain't even supposed to really interact with us without our parents. And you know, we high school students and middle school students, but we got harassed like all the time. We'd be walking down the street and we'd just get be harassed. So you know, this is a reality for us, and it ain't just with the police. Just like Brother Malcolm said, you know, this is a systematic thing. You know, this is a systemic thing. You know, this has been going on for 400 years. You know, where our ancestors were enslaved, right? And then, you know, here it is. You got sharecropping. You got Jim Crow. You got all of these things that we've been facing, and now you got now you have the mass incarceration, right, of us black men being put into prison. But not only just black men, the black women are being put into prison at an alarming rate right now. You know, so these are the things that we are facing as a people. You know, so I just wanted to say that. So thank you, sister.
And I just wanted just to add on to that, and I know we have people in the waiting room, so I want to bring some of those on, you know, and whoever has anything to say, that's good, right? And like, you know, like you said, Brother Ahmed, you know, I myself have been beat up by the police, or as we call it in my neck of the woods, mollywopped. I was mollywopped by the police.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that, you know, you just brought up a good point, that this is something that has been going on and has evolved historically throughout the years, right? The costume has changed, but the beast has remained the same, right? So now, you know, one of the prompts up here, and I would like to hear somebody else's opinion on this, because I have my own opinion, but we're living in a time where George Floyd kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back this year, right? This year, because it's happened many times before. Does this moment feel different or the same? You know, is it just a repeat? And are we going to find ourselves in the same place in 2021 or 2022, or is it different? Is it really a turning point? We have TCB.
Yes, Miss Trinita, you can have the floor.
Speak on it.
Oh, here we go. Can you hear me? Thank you for this opportunity. I want to piggyback and also lay some other things out on the floor in regards to the staff conduct, not the ones that are here on this line, but we all know there's others who have just had their freaking way with this online system. Some of the amounts of work that's being laid out is a lot. So I'm very thankful that Maxine is stepping out on a strong limb to address teacher conduct after 100 years of the district being up and about. It's really scary that we've been held to such a high standard. You know, the code of conduct for students is in the restroom, it's on the walls, it's just everywhere. And I never realized after so many years, I'm a seasoned student also, going to several different campuses within the district over the years, that there wasn't ever a instructor conduct. I never knew that. So I'm glad about that. But my next few points, I wrote them down here. I want to talk about all the surveys that we had to fill out over the last month, few months, and some of them with some leading questions, some of them with some open questions, but never any feedback from anyone from the district on our answers. No, you know, as far as no follow-up emails, you know, how are you doing? We're all experiencing the pandemic in our own multidimensional way. That is very, very, very valid. But also as our leaders and department heads, or whatever your title is, I just wish that there would have been someone on the staff to actually either scan our replies, our surveys into a computer, like they do resumes, and pick out like, oh snap, this person's having a problem. you know, no one's ever checked up on us. So sometimes having to reach out to call the number, to do all these things, that's very difficult on top of having a full-time school load that I'm thankfully glad to be able to try to finish. But at the same time, we are still trying to balance life and everything that's going on in addition to some of the staff that are, I don't know, I'm losing my words, but that's basically what I'm saying. There's just been a lot of feedback for us to initiate, but there's been no feedback on how we feel.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, Trinita. Like there was so many surveys in my email about Corona this, like how are you guys doing? Like, but there was never any follow-ups to any of those surveys. No follow-up emails that get sent out from the district that are just like, hey, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Most classes are gonna be online. Like I had to find that out on my own. There's been no updates for fall semester, but they're always reaching for feedback, but they can never come and just give us straight answers. And then back to you said about like the workload, like with spring, like, and I get it, like everybody, you know, was like, we were all going through this transition at the same time, but it was a transition of the pandemic, of moving online. There are some of us who have full-time school load and workloads, and some professors were really not being considerate towards that. Like the closer to the spring semester, I had so many papers due. I had to juggle trying to work just to be able to afford to live. So it's just like where like I didn't feel supported at work, at home, at school. So I definitely see where you're coming from, Trinita, with that for sure. I have Sam going next. Sam.
Real quick before you go, Sam, too, I just want to welcome everybody that came new, that is just hopping on in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, and let everybody know that you guys also have an opportunity right now to say what's on your mind. This is the forum in collaboration with a few different community colleges. So I just want to say that. Welcome, everybody, and I hope you're enjoying the meeting. Go ahead, Sam, my bad.
Oh, no, that's all right. I just try to slow down sometimes because I just keep doing the motor mouth thing. I wanted to answer your question or respond to your question where you asked, is the climate the same or different? And I see it as both, in that obviously there's a sense of social unrest, political discord on a level that's just tremendously crazy. But I recall as a young Black child in Chicago, where the Black Panthers were out there in full force and strong, and they had a level of connection and unity and organization that was tremendously efficient and well established, and the communication that they had was pretty linear and unified. And what I mean by that, for the most part, their goals were stated specifically and went after as a team. Now I see here in this current day and age that there are many factions, and I would like the different factions to draw on a sense of history to understand that without that unity, without the focus being driven towards the change in laws, not much is going to happen, in my opinion. And I will share this with you guys in an attempt to help someone find a Black attorney in San Diego. I did this extensive search, and Maxine, don't mean to dime you out. That was my sister. I was trying to help out. And I thought that I had found a Black attorney for her that was in San Diego, and his name was Brian Dunn. And I called the number. I thought I was talking to Brian Dunn. I was looking at this Black face, and I was, I did apply the stereotype. I was like, oh, that dude don't really sound Black, but okay. And so the attorney told me, he goes, oh, you think I'm Brian? He gave some other initial, Dunn. And I said, yeah, isn't that you? He goes, no, I'm the white one. I'm not the Black one. And I was like, oh. And we started talking about history, race, and everything. And one thing that he said to me that I firmly believe, he said that as Black people, if you want to see change, you not only have to make white people uncomfortable, he said you got to hit them in their pocket. You have to hit them in their pocket. And so I am saying that as young and old Black leaders, future, past, present, if we truly want to see change, let's look at our strategies, because armchair leadership, we already been there, done that. And we see that to get true change requires sacrifice. And in my opinion, as you see, San Diego City College, tons of emails, what we need to do, they're just banking off the ideas. But where were they when we needed them? Where was their voice? And so us doing all the grunt work, we need to demand something from them as well. I think that if all of the students had not contributed to those surveys and people thought, well, I guess I got to figure it out on my own, they would have been in full force trying to make themselves more visible to the students. So to me, that's something to think about before you respond so generously to what is being asked of you. I ask that you take a step back and say, whomever you're responding to, what are you going to necessarily require from them? What is their contribution, footprint, leg to the situation? And just really question what you're doing and do it strategically.
Yeah, that's real talk, and I think one thing that we need to really be considering, for those who are in a capacity to maybe implement this or assist us get this done, is that when something happens, that these schools also need to be culturally sensitive. And yeah, people are suffering from a pandemic, but people are also suffering from the fear that they might get shot down in the streets for looking a certain way, or felt like they might be the next person hanging off a tree, like has been happening lately. So maybe there should be a survey to ask students, do they feel safe? Do they feel comfortable walking outside? Do they feel overly policed? So that's a good point that you bring up. And I think it's definitely something that needs to be considered. I think maybe Deja might have something to share, but I also want to say this real fast, that you don't have to be a student to chime in and say what's on your mind right now, right? Anybody that has something to share right now, don't let it go to waste, because there's a lot of people paying attention right now. And as they say, speak now, forever hold your peace. It is definitely a great platform to kind of get some of these things off of our chest. So thank you, Sam. And Deja, did you have something you wanted to share with us?
I can share a little bit from back to what Jazz was saying a little bit ago about the La Mesa protest. Again, like that, the protests that I have been to, they've all started peacefully. If you're gonna show up to a place like loaded with guns and batons, like you're looking for a fight, and that's exactly what the police were out there after. What was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? There was a gathering in Florida of a whole bunch of white people, again, protesting the fact that they had to wear masks. And you don't see anywhere during those protests any cops, anything. You don't see nobody lined up in the street waiting for them. Like, they're allowed to do that stuff peacefully. But because what we're protesting about and the fact that we're asking for them to treat us as human beings is such a problem for them. That's why they come and they look for a fight. The protest that was downtown, we walked from downtown up to North Park, back to downtown, peaceful. The cops were, you know, guiding us along the way, and they made it a successful protest. So I definitely feel that, like, if they want it to be peaceful or if they want change, they can make change happen. The no knock law in Louisville, that got passed. So I mean, change is definitely, it's possible. Do they want to change? No, of course not, because then it's going to mess up their system and all that they've built up over the years. And, you know, we're just asking them, hey, just treat us like you would the next white person that you see walking down the street. But that's too hard for them, and it's not something that they want to do. So just the fact that, you know, that this is the point that we are, like, and this is where we're at with it, it's really heartbreaking, you know, to hear your guys' stories about your everyday life. Like, I'm a biracial Black woman, and I've never had anything, you know, like, police-wise, like, happen to me like that. And like, and like somebody said earlier, like, it's different when you see it on the TV or like you hear about it from, you know, somebody's perspective. But when you're actually like living those every day, like, it's definitely, it's different, and it's harder, and it's a lot harder for other people than it is for others. And that's really all my little spill. But is there anybody in here from a different school, a faculty that would like to answer some of the questions we have, or just to say anything before we move on to the next topic? I'm going to reach out to Maxine, and then if anybody else wants to raise their hand to speak, by all means, please.
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I'm just DSPS, and you asked about the differences or changes. I feel like it's all changed, all for the worse. Some of you guys don't know, and some of you do know. DSPS students start 3 weeks behind everybody else, and that's ridiculous to me. If we're supposed to be slow, why do we start behind everybody? It just baffles my mind. Our books are not converted over into audio. The school doesn't have a database, which they should, which just got started last semester, of course, because of me. It's numerous things that is in this department that we're supposed to be getting support services for that we don't. And it's taking too long to get these things corrected, because that just doesn't make any sense for any student to start school 3 weeks after everybody else has already been enthralled and involved with the context, the core work, and all that. And we're playing catch up, and we're still passing, and we're still have an honor society, but we're not getting any of the support or recognition for all of the hard work that we're doing to fight through all of this systemic inequities and injustices that go on with us every single semester. And like piggybacking the emails, I feel like the emails are just ways for them to steal our ideas. We at a Umoja in San Diego City College, we had came up with a few of our groups came together and we wrote down some ideas we wanted, because faculty had got a hold of me and said that they were in fact going to take some of our ideas into consideration, and if we could send them something over in reference to a professor or instructor code of conduct. Do you know, I did what Miss Sam suggested. I paused, something in me was saying, let me just ask to see what they have first. Do you know, when I asked him to see what he had first, do you know he had to send me an email back to say, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I have nothing, because he thought I was just gonna send him over everything that I had, because that's what I had been doing in the DSPS department, thinking that I'm helping make it better for my department, when they just steal our ideas as their own, and we get no credit for it, and it's not even executed in the way that we need it executed for us to work properly. So I just wanted to bring that up, is an anxiety for me coming into this fall semester with all of these professors who are not online teachers, who are being made to be online teachers. I don't see where it's supposed to be better for me this semester.
I just want to say real fast, because the end of this, I'm gonna call it block talk, but so-called porch talk segment is coming to an end, right? So I think before we head out, our co-host Rachel has something that she wants to speak on real quick, but I thank you so much, Maxine, for your comments, your input. Sister Rachel, go ahead and lace our boots.
Thank you, Malcolm. I just wanted to bring up a topic that I haven't heard spoken about yet. Sorry if it's noisy, just one second. I think I'm the only representative from Southwestern College here in Chula Vista. One thing that I've been dealing with personally has been the fact that I'm in a non-Black area, but it's not white. And I think a lot of people are making this conversation white. I don't know why it's so loud, white and Black. And we are in San Diego in general, we are in an area where we are around anti-Blackness and POCs. So I think it's important that we understand, or that for me, just trying to really dissect that and understand that you cannot attack it in the same way because it's not the same thing. So that is just how I feel at the moment. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it. We're going to go to the next part, but thank you to everyone for speaking. Especially, I know Malcolm does not appreciate the word porch talk. I understand it, but I just wanted to make a comment on that. I personally felt like it was I feel like the connotation of it can be positive because it can be a safe space for Black people. And I just want to say we were not intending to do that. So but I totally understand the comments and the feedback for that. So now let's get to the next thing.
So before you begin, Rachel, we do have another hand, so I'm just gonna call on them really fast. They don't have a name, so iPad, whenever you are ready to speak, you may.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name is Chantrice Williams, and I am a nurse practitioner that works in San Diego. I was invited to this forum by my sister, who is a faculty member for you guys. And I work as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I love the comments that the topics that you guys have been talking about. And I'm just curious about how are you processing this on a mental health level? I would imagine the forum itself is a great way for you guys to express yourselves and talk about what's going on and the struggles. But on a more personal level, how are you guys coping with all of the stress of online schooling and COVID and working and studying on top of all the civil unrest? And yeah, so I just wanted to ask that question.
Well, thank you so much for asking that question in the first place. I think, especially as Black individuals, we often put our mental health in the back seat sometimes in order to just push through things. I'll start off. I personally, I have anxiety and depression, and this has done nothing to help in any way whatsoever. It has just made everything worse. So right now I'm just working on taking care of myself, just mentally, emotionally, trying to get through things, figure out, like, maybe make a schedule, just stuff like that helps. So
that's a question I can't really answer. I don't even know how I'm coping with it, right? But I think for me, you know, it's a deep conviction that that whatever is going to be is going to be, and that there's something greater than me in charge. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think that that's helping and allowing me to keep my eye on the prize and be content. You know what I'm saying? When things happen, you know, to know that we plan, you know, but the source of everything is the greatest of planners. You know what I'm saying? So that's what keeps me going. And I mean, that's an excellent question. That's a question that I definitely think needs to be pondered on. But I also think, you know, what also needs to be pondered on, and I believe this is the next segment, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, one of my co-hosts, because what we, you know, what we want to be also is solution based, right? We don't want to just, because we know everybody in America knows, except for people that are delusional, what the problems are, right? There's still a few people out there that are denying that that systematic racism and oppression and all the things, these things take place, right? There's people that deny the fact that modern day slavery exists, that even people that are running for top offices that deny that police racial profiling takes place, right? But for those who know, they know. For those who have experienced it, they know, right? So now what we kind of want to get into, and once again, anybody can chime in. You don't have to be a student. Just if you have a good idea, right? What are our solutions, right? What are reasonable solutions that we can do to get ourselves in a better position than we are in right now? Because a lot of the times it looks like we've been stagnated, or that, like I said earlier, that we just find ourselves the same old chump, the same old victim in a different costume, right? So we want to kind of brainstorm on that and get some ideas from people right now.
Yeah, so what are our next steps?
Yep.
Where do we go from here?
Sorry, y'all. We had one more really quick. She just said she was going to make it quick. One more point. Sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry, and I'm gonna take this in a segue to our other question that you just asked. One of the things I think Deja and Rachel, you commented on, and I just wanted to quickly highlight it, because what's so important in what's going on now is that everyone, especially you young people, realize you are making a difference and you are valid, and the organization is outstanding. And I just wanted to say, with the change, and whichever of you two mentioned that law that's in effect, that when you're looking for change, please remember to have measurable steps that lead to well thought out specific outcomes. That's where a change can really make a difference, because a lot of times people want change, but they don't say what they want, and they don't know how to go about getting it. And then demand that you are reciprocated with the same level of respect and professionalism that your focus is that you deliver. Never leave without a target date for action. And so that closes that out. The other thing, I think it's said best by Gloria Gaynor. So for some of you may remember who that soul sister singer is. She wrote this song called I Will Survive. And one of the things you both touched on, Malcolm and Rachel, is what none of us can claim and shall claim. And if you're claiming it, get a mirror now and look in the mirror and stop it. There are no victims here. There are no victims here. Dr. Charlins indicated solutions-based. Solutions-based. Nobody's going to get you out this situation but yourself. And we cannot wallow in our self-pity. One of the things that I learned in dealing with the pandemic, at first I thought it was ridiculously insane, was to conduct your life as much as normally as you had been in the past, to structure and budget your study time, get all dolled up looking fine, get that special nice haircut of yourself. It might be kind of jacked up because we got to do it ourselves, but prepare and respect your journey of this evolution. The fight shouldn't be outside of yourself. You have to challenge yourself to do that introspection, to tap in to possible previous times where you felt, I'm not going to get through this, I can't make it, and all of that. And my therapist said to me, in my 20 years in the Marine Corps, she said, I think there was probably one time where you thought you weren't going to make it. There was a whole list. I was going into a book. And with that insight, I tapped into the situation and I used the resources that I had in different ways. And I'm not just surviving, I'm living instead of existing. So I think if we set specific goals at the outcomes that we're trying to get, even if it's as simple as having breakfast by 9 o'clock in the morning, you have to start with small steps. But the important thing is to have steps, and insight is a wonderful thing to know that things are different about your behavior and conduct A lot of people don't know that. And I applaud everyone here because we're considering options. We're considering different approaches. We may not agree,
Real
but
fast,
this
sis.
shows we're open to listen.
Yeah,
So,
I like that what you said. You know, setting goals, and I definitely the idea and the call to action that you know that we're not going to just sit here and wallow in the mire and allow ourselves to have the woe is me ideology. You know, because that definitely hasn't been conducive to not just the Black people, but to anybody. Period. Right? I mean, because if you know, if Jewish Americans sat back and said, "Woe is us," you know, they wouldn't be in the position that they're in right now, right? So I think as a people, we also need to definitely lift ourselves up by the bootstraps, as they say, and not have that mentality. Definitely set goals, because nothing can get done without a goal except for an accident, right? Most accidents aren't good. So I mean, with that being said, I want to hear some more ideas. We have a Professor
Sawyer. Yeah.
Yep.
Unmute you.
Speak on it.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Professor Sawyer, Marcia Sawyer, and I teach Black Studies at Miramar. And I just have a couple of suggestions in terms of where we go from here. I'm really impressed with the protests. And everything I've seen and heard and read about the way they're conducted seems to me that it's been the best it could be given the forces coming against us. Let me suggest that we try and organize them a little more tightly in terms of how we advertise, where they are, and who's running them. I'm monitoring Instagram because one of my students suggested I monitor Instagrams because I want to join the protests, and the Black Student Union at Miramar would like to join protests also. We've picked July 14, 15, and 16 for the days that we all have the kind of schedule availability. And I'm sure that by the end of July, there'll be reasons to protest. By the middle of August, there'll be reasons to protest. What I'd like to see us do is protect each other really tightly and organize tightly. And I'm here to help all the time.
We appreciate that. Do you have any locations, or is that undisclosed yet? How do we find the information that are the protests that you're talking about, so we can, those who want to get involved can get involved?
Oh, then I need to leave my information in the chat. How about that?
Please.
Or I am msawyer@sdccd, right, .edu also.
That'll work.
Thank you. And I really,
wonderful. It's wonderful to see all of you. Wonderful.
Yeah. I really appreciated you, Dr. Sawyer, talking about protecting one another. I think that's a big part of that, because I know I personally went out and bought a helmet and like eye goggles, like just physically protecting, you know, just for other people. If they're going to go protesting, I bought a lot to just be like, hey, take that with you just in case. So really push the idea of protecting yourself, because we know they're not going to play fair. Never have, never will. So thank you for saying that.
And even if protests aren't like your ideal method of like going out in support, just from going out to the protest, like there are people there who are just there to help. Like they'll bring water or they'll have towels. You don't always have to put yourself on the front line to show that you care. I mean, really anything helps. So like you said, protecting one another is really a key deal in that as well.
Definitely. If I can say, one of the things that I do here in that as well, like what Rachel just brought up, and what Deja was talked about as well, is that that unity, and that's something that we do need as a people. You like Deja said, you know, protesting may not be your thing. But we do have to support each other, and I know that sometimes when we think about unity, is like we think about uniformity, and that's like all of us doing the same thing at the same time. But unity is that we're all working in our respected places, but we all have one goal in mind, And for us, you know, the goal in mind should be the liberation of our people.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely.
I have a hand up from Taria. If you want to go ahead and go. Sorry if I butchered your name.
That's totally fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Tahia Williams Patoka. I teach at both San Diego City College and Southwestern College. So Rachel, you are not alone. I am only going to just take a couple minutes, you guys. I'm an adjunct, obviously, teaching at multiple campuses. And I really just want to give another voice from the faculty to just say that you guys are not alone. I know it seems that way, especially when you're in your classrooms. I mean, my heart, you know, just goes out to Sam and to Maxine for the experiences that you guys have had as far as DSPS is concerned. I'm sure that there are more of you guys that are struggling in your own ways. Maybe it's not DSPS related, maybe it's of a different kind. And so where we go from here, I would ask you from the heart, don't give up. Don't give up on your faculty. Don't give up on your colleges. Don't stop asking them for some accountability. Some of us get it. We're on the call, those of us that get it. And then there are others that are not on this call who don't get it, but would like to get it. And so I just want to, you know, tell you guys in whatever way that works for you. Is it an email that you send to your faculty member that said something that was just off? Or is it in, you know, some other interaction that you've had? Please don't give up. Keep going. Find those advocates on campus, because believe me, we are there. Like me, I'm a frequent flyer, so I'm only there every once in a while, but when I am there, I am present. So find those of us, find those advocates on your campuses that are gonna be your advocates, seek them out. And those that are not your immediate advocate, call them on it. Just kind of ask them, hey, I thought, you know, this was supposed to be a safe space. I thought, you know, we could maybe bring a little bit more equitability to this class by maybe doing this or that, and see what response you get. I have a feeling, especially in today's climate, that you might get an answer different from what you would have gotten, say, oh, maybe back in January. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for joining us and sharing that with us as well. Oh, I just had a hand and it went away. Okay. I do see another hand on Maxine again.
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback the safety thing in the class, like not just the DSPS thing. You do know when we're in classes or even in Zoom, it's not many of our faces. Like, we have to make each other feel safe, not just the faculty, but as students as well. If we see something, we need to report it instead of, well, I don't want it to turn on me, or that's not me. We really, like Professor Sawyer said, I love that she said that, close knit, because that's what we need. Like I said, I had no idea I was in this fight. I was doing this 8 semesters by myself, and then now everything came to a head with the George Floyd thing that I had no idea I had so many people around me. But I've been walking through this campus by myself the whole time, feeling so alone and alienated. So I just appreciate all of you guys for coming, students, faculty, adjuncts, whomever. We need to see us. And when we see each other, let each other know that we got each other's back, not that you're there alone, even if we don't know that person is speaking up for us or has our back. They don't necessarily have to know, we know. But I agree, piggybacking with the safety and Professor Sawyer, that we really do gotta really make it more tight knit so all of us can feel the safety. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I definitely understand where you're coming from. You know, holding. Somebody was talking about holding people accountable, and then also keeping. But also, you know, we do need to have that safe space that, and make each other feel comfortable. So if we can, who's the next hand up?
Nadine is unable to raise her hand, but I'll just unmute you. Sorry, you can speak when you're ready.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I think because I'm part of the co-host, I'm unable. But what I wanted to, and to tie both questions into play is one thing I did want to say is, it seems like we have a lot of great student leaders on this call from every campus. And some of you may be a little disappointed that you thought some of your friends might be on this call and they're not. I just want to urge you, I know it's hard, like, come on, I know you to be a leader, let's go. In this space sometimes, and in this moment, sometimes it looks a little different, as you guys were saying, stay in your lane, or what lane works for you, and advocating for the general, mission and cause. But I also want to say that some people are a little desensitized right now. That sounds like, how could you be desensitized, right? But we have been going through this very traumatic time for a while, and it does happen. I've heard it from some of our strongest leaders in this moment. So going back to the statement of holding each other up and holding each other accountable, really, I would encourage you, when you have the mindset, right, because a lot of us are really going through it, to try to find the space to circle back to those friends and check in if you can, and touch base, because they may be really honestly desensitized. And a few people I've talked to really have been, a lot of students. So I also want to say that, and circle back to the statements some of you shared of really dealing with anxiety and it really being heightened right now. And I want to say race-based stress, trauma, and anxiety is real. And if you sit in front of the wrong therapist, they'll say, is that perceived, or is that, no, it's real. And so knowing that, I want you to know, you get a therapist of color, you get a therapist who is culturally humble, not just culturally competent, but humble enough to understand your experiences and hear them from you. You will have that experience. But I just want to put that out there and normalize how you guys are really feeling, because it is real. And it's not just the students on this call. I've heard it from a lot of students. So I just wanted to put that out there for you all. And again, I'm proud of you guys. To be honest, as a first generation Black student myself, how would I be doing in the middle of this? I didn't even have a computer when I was an undergrad student. I would really have been in the struggle. So I really commend every single one of you that has stuck through this and really committed to your education, because as we know, if we don't get this education, we don't have a voice to keep pushing this forward in the way that it needs to be. So I really commend you. While you're going through a very traumatic time, you still persevering. I know that we're always having to be forced to grow through the concrete, but I couldn't be any prouder of every single one of you.
Thank you so much, Nadine.
Yes, thank you for that. Next I have G. Unmute and go ahead and speak whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I just want to preface this by saying I'm so impressed with the student leaders who organized this and the panelists, and thank you for that. So I'm here to speak on what I believe is next as a student. I think it's really time to mobilize our Black student unions and our MEN programs and our mega programs, and we have to demand professional development programs that reach out to Black counselors, Black professors, Black faculty and staff, and classified. I think we have to set up commissions that ensure culturally responsive curricula, implicit bias training, and not the trainings for the teachers who already understand, the teachers who are practicing anti-racism and pedagogy, but the teachers who aren't. I think we have to really have more campus forums and workshops for cultural humility. And I think what's very important is that we create these healing spaces on campus and these homes for our vulnerable populations like our Black students. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Nashona.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Nashona Andrade, and I am a professional development specialist with the Grossmont-Cuyamaca Community College District. So I want to thank Nicole Jones for the invite today, and also acknowledge her and Martha Clavel, who are also from that district. And I'm really excited to hear about just the power with which all of you students have shared your experiences and are looking to recruit, support, not only from each other, but from administrators. And I think it's huge. I also think that there is, based on what you all have shared, really interesting parallels between your experience and the experience of administrators and those of us who work. I know, Maxine, you shared a little bit of your experience too, but I was just taking notes and writing a couple things down, and the leadership drought, I think that Malcolm mentioned, is the same for what you're experiencing as a student, or what you have experienced as a student, is the same as what is being experienced as a professional in higher education. There is a drought in leadership from people of color, so that is a parallel. Also, there was talk about decolonizing the syllabus. We also need to decolonize job descriptions and hiring practices. So those to me are parallels as well, because they speak to the student experience. And then also this colonization of creativity and work that has been created is written under this intellectual property, kind of thing, where you produce all of this work and then it's snatched and then given to someone else to then claim, this hard work that you put into offering something that is beneficial to students and also to maybe your districts at large. So those were some, and then the anxiety and PTSD that all of those experiences breed is real. And again, a paralleled experience for all of us. And so I know that we're at the phase of being solutions focused, so I haven't forgot about that. And I want to say that it's really helpful to know what your district values are. You know what you experience in terms of culture, but what are the values? And so the values should match the experience. And when they don't, I think it's okay to challenge your district to say, this is what you've got on paper, right? Or this is what you're saying, but your actions don't match from a student experience perspective. And so that is one way, is to learn and know the values of the district that are written so that you can speak to what the experience is much better. It's just kind of referring them back to, this is what you said, but this is what my experience is. Also knowing some of the board policies. I know last week for some of the new employees in the district at Grossmont, one of my responsibilities is to make sure that they're getting acclimated to, what our district values are and just learning our district in general. And so we do roundtable sessions that dive deep into our board policies and the values. And one of them is diversity, equity, and inclusion. So last week I used the platform of training, which I think is a privileged platform, to really challenge people. Like, we have this DEI policy, this board policy, but it doesn't really match the student experience on campus, nor does it match what employees are experiencing on campus. And so while that is taking a risk using my platform, I feel like it's necessary to do it. And to be okay taking the risks and not being afraid is something that I feel like I charge all of us with. And then the other thing, because my role is in the HR department, is the importance of documentation. And so I think it's a normal practice for documentation as a professional, but as a student, that documentation will serve you well in the event that you need recourse. So every single experience that you have that doesn't point back to the district values or doesn't point back to what we say we're supposed to offer you through the student experience, write it down so that when you are going to speak to whomever, to advocate for yourself or on behalf of someone else, have dates, have time, have names, whoever was in the room, what color people were wearing, all of those things I think are important practices. And so I feel like they can be supportive in building some solutions around all the work that we have ahead of us. So thank you for having me today, and sorry to be so long-winded. I just get really excited. I'm gonna mute myself now.
No need to apologize. You made a lot of valid points, a lot of good points, that I think definitely need to be considered for students and professionals. Because like you said, everybody has a sacrifice to make. Everybody has a job to do. Like, individually we're weak, but together we're strong.
Right.
Does anybody else have any ideas or any okay, I see Crystal Ellis has her hand raised. Let's go ahead and go ahead and speak.
Ready?
Yep. You there, Crystal?
I think her hand went away. There was also 2 other users who had their hands up and then put them away if they would want to speak again. Crystal, I see your hand.
Okay. It looked like Crystal is back with us.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. Good afternoon. Dr. Savage, thank you for inviting me. I was on the YouTube live link first, and I just wanted to come in and give you guys a little bit of information. One, very proud of you guys of what you're doing. I'm the executive assistant for the vice president at Antelope Valley College, and our students are going through the same thing, of course. And I just want to give you a little bit of information on what they did at AVC. The students got a petition together, and I just checked. I think it's like 900 students who have now signed the petition. They also sent a letter out to all of the students, copying all of our board members, the president, all of the chancellor's office, and all of the accrediting commission. And all the letters say the exact same thing, nearly close, that basically we have a 79% diversity rate at our campus. Our faculty does not match that. Our diversity faculty is about 8% overall between Hispanic, Black, all. We have, I think it was something like 68% Caucasian of all of our faculty, our counselors, administration, and everything. So basically our students got together and they sent letters to the chancellors, to the accrediting commission, to the board, and said, we want proper representation. If you can't hire us, people who we want, then we will petition and not come to school. So once again, as someone mentioned before, hitting the pockets, you students, you have no idea how strong you are. Without you guys, us working there mean nothing. We have no job or anything. So our students, that's basically what they did. They did the petition, which is Change Me. I think it's changeme.org online. And we've actually had some calls from the chancellor's office. We actually had some people who were in the process of doing some policy changes. They kind of stopped everything midstream. And now we're waiting for feedback. So you can make a difference. So if anybody wants some of those petitions or letters that they sent out as an example of what you guys can do, feel free to let me know and I can provide that to you. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Of course, thank you so much. If you would like to link a petition in the chat, I think that'd be greatly appreciated.
I sure will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also linked Maxine's petition that she started for SDCCD in the chat as well. If you guys want to read it, check it out, sign it.
Do we have any more hands raised?
At the moment, no.
Okay. Well, I'll take this moment to explain for me personally how I feel. What I'm going to be working on in order to create a next step is really just creating my own org, doing things where I can have my hands on. I know what I'm doing. I know the goal that I'm going for. Just taking control of what I can. So for me, that's how I feel I can be the most active. That, and also I want to encourage a lot of people, if they're watching, institutions, these teachers, professors, everyone, they want to hear what we have to say right now, and they are offering jobs. They are. You just have to ask, you know? So really just get out there and put yourself out there, and but the worst thing that can happen is they say no. You know, there's so many people that are looking for Black students' perspectives on what's going on, how we can change our campus, how we can help change things in general. So if you take those opportunities, if that is something that you are looking into, I suggest you just ask. So.
Absolutely, that's an excellent point, Rachel. And you know, like what you said, if I would say, like for me, I'm a formerly incarcerated person myself. I came home. I work with an organization called Pillars of the Community right now, and I would say that, you know, if you're not going to start your own organization, then you should be aligning yourself with those who are actually doing the work. You know, you can get out there, you can volunteer, and you can see who's doing what. It doesn't take too long of volunteering to find out who's actually doing the work and who's doing the lip service and just collecting funds. You know what I'm saying? So that's something anybody can do. Just put a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. You know, you don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. But even if you do, even if you go ahead and start your own organization, your own movement, your own niche that nobody's quite doing, you still need to build coalitions and network. You know, this is important. Us coming together and accomplishing common goals. You don't have to align everywhere politically with a certain group. You don't have to align everywhere ideologically. But if somebody's doing the work that you're doing and pushing in the same way, there's no reason that we can't put our forces together and make change.
Most definitely, Malcolm. And just to go off of what he was saying, you know, go ahead and join those organizations. If you don't want to start up an organization of your own, I'm a part of an organization in the community called I Am My Brother's Keeper. And we may work in different ways. I love Pillars of the Community. That's when people ask me about joining an organization, I let them know Pillars of the Community, they are boots on the ground, and I got a lot of love for them. And so, but I'm working with I Am My Brother's Keeper, and we right now, we're doing food servicing, food distribution for a part of Southeast San Diego, and it's happening all throughout Southeast San Diego, because one of the things that is happening with Black communities is that there's a food shortage. We are food deserts, and black and brown communities is food deserts. The only place that we do have a store is probably Food for Less. But we need more than just that. We need grocery stores. We need places where we can get fresh food, right? And to be able to nourish our bodies and be in good health. So when you look at what's happening with COVID-19 and how Black people are being hit hard with COVID-19, and they're saying it's due to the pre-existing conditions, it stems from the systematic racism that have been happening to Black communities, where we don't have a good food source. Right, so I'm working with I'm working with I Am My Brother's Keeper. I'm a volunteer with I Am My Brother's Keeper with the food distribution, and that's what we're doing right now. And but if you do want to work with other organizations, get those boots on the ground. No matter what that organization is. And Malcolm hit it right on the head. Partner up with those. Make an alliance. Make a friendship, right, with other organizations, right? Because just like I was saying earlier, is we need that unity, and we need that unity in our community. We need that unity among Black people. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking, Ahmed. Yeah, if there's anyone else that would like to share what they think are the next steps, anyone else? We're going to start closing up soon. So any last comments, last ending mints, I'd really appreciate it.
I think I can't raise, but I'll just say really quick, I know you students are tired. You're exhausted from doing the online courses. You're exhausted from having to fight to exist in the education system that's supposed to be for you, but keeps putting a door up and making it difficult. But I really, really encourage you to try to get people involved to fight for this equality, because not every school, as you saw, had a Black mental health counselor, a Black biology teacher we got to see today. We have amazing, strong leadership on this call. But as you see, we're spread amongst the campuses, and most of these campuses are pretty diverse. So without that student voice pushing for us and for representation, because as we know, representation matters for each and every one of you, including for us. We wouldn't be here unless we saw somebody that looked like us or that gave us hope that we needed to be present. We wouldn't be in these spaces. So I just really encourage you to not be discouraged. I know it's really hard in this time, but I'm very proud of you, and please encourage others so that you're not in this fight by yourself. Thank you guys for attending, and thank you for everyone who shared.
Okay. I think I'm going to take over, but I just want to give our presenters, our facilitators, just if we can, just, give them a round of applause. You can show in your reactions or if your video is up. We thank you all so much for what you have done, the time you've spent meeting with us, and you all did amazing. You all did amazing. I am beaming. My heart is happy, and I am so proud. Dr. Charlins, we worked with our students over the last several weeks, And Dr. Charlins, if you can unmute yourself and chime in. And we want to commend you all for your efforts and for taking the time to do this for us. We needed it. And I'm sure the students in the space needed it as well. So kudos. We couldn't have done it any better.
Yeah. You basically said it. I'm getting texts, hearing from others about how amazing our students are doing. And, you know, it's tough. Like, we don't know who's going to be in the space. We invite people to the space and we don't know who's coming to the space, but everybody here, you know, we're glad you're here. And, you know, again, I want to acknowledge too, the students are going through their own process. As you heard, many of them shared themselves. They're going through their own process. So to be willing to lead, to want to lead as you're going through your own process. Malcolm's like, I don't even know how I feel, you know, but yet they want to care for other people. That's just what we do. That's who we are. And so we see you, Salbona, we see that. And thank you all.
Yes. And then finally, I also want to thank, you know, Miss Nisha Savage, who, like, I don't know if you all remember a few weeks back, we had a Black Student Forum and it didn't look like this. And we recognized that there was a gap there. And so that's where this came from. And so if possible, I'm trying to see everyone, but I want to thank, you know, Dr. Hands and our Vice President of Student Services at City College, Denise Wisenhunt, and Nicole Jones, who's on the call. I think Marsha was here, and Miss Wendy. You all unmute yourselves if I'm forgetting folks, but there are a team of women behind the scenes who created this space for you all to do that, who know and recognize the importance of students having a voice. So I do want to acknowledge them in some way. So maybe if you all want to raise your hand or do something so that students can see who participated in allowing this to happen. Dr. Nisha Savage, please, we are all so very grateful for your vision in bringing this together. It's a beginning, right? We are not perfect, right? We are not perfect, but it's the beginning of a very necessary dialogue and conversation. And I want to do better. I want to do better. So if there's anybody else who's a part of the leadership or support for this group of students, if you all want to share anything, please feel free to do so. I think we have like 1 minute. No, they are good. See, they're just worker bees. They just want to be behind the scenes. But thank you all so very much. We will close out today, and maybe, you know, you all will hear from this group again, you know, so if, you know, moving forward, whatever they're already collaborating on the side. So you all may hear from, you know, Rachel and Malcolm and Ahmed and Deja, who are leaders in their own right. So thank you all. Join Political Ed tonight. It's going to be on the history of police abuse. I dropped the link in the chat. You can register there. I'll be facilitating with Dr. Widener if you want to continue dialogue or getting information, sponsored through Pillars of the Community. Have a good evening.
Yes, thank you to everyone for coming today and supporting us. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Malcolm.
Okay, y'all ready? What's up? Y'all ready?
I forgot Janae, Miss Janae. You were hiding back there. I didn't even say Janae's name. That's my dog too.
All right, y'all.
Miss Janae.
Is everybody
real quick before you go?
Is everybody still on the line? Okay.
There's quite a, well, they're
all right.
Checking out.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All right, this is a piece. Piece kind of reflecting on what's going on in these times right now. So if everybody, for those who are still on the line, those who left, peace out. For those who are here, I'm gonna just spit it real fast and then we'll go. We used to be so in tune with the Most High. Now we're all on dope, bragging about who can get the most high. Trying to float away from reality, and sometimes I wonder why. Then I remember, us Black folks sure like to be fly. Fresh Nike flights make us feel like we can fly. Leaving church, the preacher makes us feel like we can fly. Till we meet that officer and get swatted like a fly. And the sight of such polite can make a grown man cry, because one nation with liberty and justice for all is just a fictitious fantasy. Just last week, there was another tragedy. A young mother's bundle of joy was beaten, battered in the street. They did not respect his brain in class. Now his brain matters in the street. And they say Black lives matter, but honestly, Black lives will never matter to them until they matter to you and me. And obviously, Black lives don't have that much value, because every day young Black men are in the ghetto popping one another like volumes. That makes it that much easier for an old white man to shoot a young Black man for simply turning up his volume. Apparently, the young Black man wasn't the only one that liked to hear the sound of loud boom. But I'm tired of the scene that I keep seeing on the TV, so I switched my station from ABC to NBC, and what do I see? Newscasters saying soberly, this just in. Today at a crowded train station, there was a horrific tragedy. A suspected Islamic extremist detonated a bomb concealed in their bodily cavity. And although the Quran, Surah 4, Ayat 29 says, do not kill yourself, people still commit suicide casually. And when the media says the perpetrator was a Muslim, people go attacking Sikhs. Well, that shows just how ignorant we are as a people. I never understood how a person could witness a toddler get raped before their little innocent body gets dumped in a lake and still claim there's no such thing as evil. Well, they say the greatest trick that the devil ever played on mankind was making them believe that he does not exist. Well, I say the greatest trick ever played on Africans was making them believe that slavery was actually abolished, because we're still slaves. Slaves to these dead-end 9-to-5s, slaves to welfare and SSI, slaves to prescription drugs and wine, slaves to fast food and swine, slaves to the prison industrial complex, slaves to a media laced with propaganda and illicit sex. We used to be so in tune with the Most High. Now we watch reality shows arguing about which girl kissed the most guys. And if we ever want to put an end to our youth delinquency, we need to tune our antennas back to a divine frequency. And I know it seems like the good old days are long gone. The best advice I can offer you, my brothers and sisters, fear Allah and read the Holy Quran.
It was amazing.
All right, y'all. Definitely appreciate everybody coming out. You know, like they say, it's only two things you got to do in life: stay Black and die. But in the meantime, try to get as much done as you can. Try to get as much done as you can. Good things, good things. That's what it's about.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Yes, thank you. All right.
Peace.
Hey, bro, you killed it.
And then I almost forgot. Somebody should have stopped me. Malcolm.
Chat. I was in the chat.
Oh, I know. I missed it. I was like, oh yeah.
It worked out.
Thank you, Malcolm. That was dope.
That was dope. That hit the spot.
Yes.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
No problem. Appreciate y'all. It was a good event. Definitely.
Proud of y'all. Y'all did really good.
Yep. Y'all were flawless in your facilitation. Just, man, we just let you do what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know a part of the conversation was next steps. So will we get together to talk about if there will be next steps from this group?
Yeah, we should debrief and then capture. I didn't hear, I think I've heard most of it, but there's probably some things we all missed in that next steps from students. So.
I have some things down.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. And we always have, we can go back and play the YouTube if we miss some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, Caesar can take us off live.
Oh.
YouTube live.
Caesar, like, good job. He's keeping us on live. Caesar, take us off the internet.
Whoever the host, I think, Aaron, are you still the host?
Put the curtain down.
Dan, what do you
Malcolm already
need
dropped
me
the
to
mic.
do? Oh, let me make you the host. Can you make me a co-host?
Yeah, we'll do.
Probably don't need to be, but. Yeah, that was dope, man.
That was on point. Oh, I see Temple in the chat.
We're glad you're here, Temple.